Hello everyone. Mm, I'm. This is my most probably eighth PowerPoint presentation, seventh if you exclude the introduction video. Mm, and the title of my PowerPoint presentation is Understanding DUI Drive, and I have tried to explain DUI Drive easiest way possible in this PowerPoint presentation video. Okay, let's begin the presentation. Today is January 1st of 2025 and Happy New Year to everyone. Okay, let's begin the presentation. Since ages, we have listened, read, and developed our concept. Every action have equal but opposite reaction. This fundamental law of physics has limited movement of vehicle, boat, spacecraft, etc. to move forward without throwing anything backward. But there's something against these laws, against this concept. I don't really say it's against these laws, but according to the concept generated by these every action have equal but opposite reaction, there are something that seems not obeying these laws. Okay, let's see the video. Here I have put two rings and tied put rings touching each other and tied on one side with the rubber band and balance that stressed force with thread over here and placed balancing the force of thread and force of rubber band touching each other. It's completely balanced and it's not moving at all. Now let's make it imbalanced by cutting the thread of by cutting the thread. Okay, let's do it. Here we cut the thread with thread cutter and hand has not touched the rings. Okay, did you see the movement of the rings? Yes, the rings move through itself in one direction, both the rings. And let's see next one too. Okay, let's play this one. Since these rubber bands are very powerful to throw these rings in one direction, so I have made less powerful by stretching it less. And here's the thread balancing the power by balancing the force by stretching force. And here's the thread. Okay, let's play the video. When the thread is caught over here, the ring moves forward and there is no role of ground pushing this ring forward. It's totally, the movement is achieved totally by interacting these two bodies. Okay, let's move to the next slide. In both the videos, two corresponding bodies travel in same direction, but there is no any wheel mechanism with engines to move the bodies in that direction. There is no any external factor like force or matter or any slingshot mechanism that pushes the body in that direction. There is no chemical reaction and exhaust mass mechanism like rocket to push the bodies in that direction. The thread cutter just cut the thread but not push or pull the bodies. The thread cutter just cut the thread and make the system imbalance and two forces are activated and they move forward. Okay, let's move to the next slide. But what makes those bodies move like that without any reaction? What's making these two rings moving in similar direction interacting with each other? What's the physics behind this? I'm going to explain in this presentation. DUI drive, reactionless drive, is based on same concept shown in those videos that propels a spacecraft, vehicle, boat, etc. forward without throwing anything backward. Now this is an introduction video of what's going I'm going to deal with for next most probably half an hour. Mm, Thank you everyone for till now. Let's move to the next slide. Understanding DUI drive is very easy. It's not a rocket science. It's little complicated than the rocket science in form of basic physics, but not like cryogenic engines. Not as complex as its working mechanism is not as complex as cryogenic engines. DUI drive is an innovative way to propel any vehicle in land, water, air, and space without any reaction force. I'll try to explain with easiest way possible from scrap. First, let us imagine a complete blank space. Okay, let's imagine a complete blank space, like there's nothing over there. Now let us take two similar circular bodies, ring-shaped circular bodies with same mass, same dimension, geometric center and center of mass. Okay, let's take two rings. Let us take two rings. It has same mass, same geometric center, same center of gravity and same dimension. Now let's place these two rings touching each other side by side, and let's apply two equal and opposite forces as shown in the next video. These two rings are placed side by side, touching each other in the same plane, and let's see the video. These two are placed touching each other in the same plane. Okay, when two forces are applied, one from this side and one from this side, equal and opposite force, and let's see the movement of the rings. The rings move forward without any interaction with the ground here, although it's has some interaction with the ground, but the ground doesn't have any role in pushing these two rings forward. Okay, the two equal and opposite pair of forces on each of the ring brings motion on the rings. More the pair of equal and opposite force, more the motion. Let's do it with higher force. Okay, let's do it again with the higher force. Okay, two forces here and here in two sides of the ring. Here is the contact point. Okay, when higher force is applied, higher motion is achieved, more motion is achieved. Okay, the movement of both ring is achieved in same direction. Now let's just watch the rings moving when the force is applied in slow motion, and let's see the video in this slow motion. Okay, here there are two points that pushes, two pins that pushes the rings slowly as the force, to equal and opposite force applied in the rings, the ring move forward. You can easily view that. Now let's do same thing with two rings, rubber band and the thread. Let's see that. Here two rings, there are two rings, and this is these two rings point where the two rings touch each other, and the rubber band is stretched by in the stretched position, and this stretch is balanced by the thread over here. You have already seen the previous video, so you might have a little idea how this is done. And let's cut this thread and release the force, the required force for the propulsion of the rings in forward direction by releasing the this force. Okay, let's see what happens after the thread is caught. When the thread is caught, yes, when the thread is caught, mm, when the thread is caught, when this thread is caught, the force from the rubber band, which is in potential form, is released. The balance between the two rings gets disturbed, and force is generated. Force which is stored in the rubber band is released, and the forward motion is achieved. Okay. Initially, the thread has applied counter force to the force created due to stretching of the rubber band, so there is no motion. As the thread is caught with the thread cutter, the required equal and opposite force is applied in the rings in the right place. Both the rings move forward, interacting with each other. Here, the rings move forward without any interaction with the ground, but interacting with each other. This proves this theory. In my opinion, the theory is proved, but there are a lot of questions for these two rings to not obey the theory which is we have been believing since centuries. Okay, let's see this one. Let's see then another slide. Reactionless unidirectional momentum, thrust or force could be generated within the two bodies in a desired direction by interacting those two bodies with each other in a specified way. You don't have to push anything backward to move forward, but two bodies interact with each other, generate force through that interaction and move forward. But for ages, it is believed that every action have equal but opposite reaction. How can anything move without any interaction with the medium it travels or any interaction with the reaction mass? There is no rocket mechanism, there is nothing. But the bodies have moved forward. The rings might have moved due to friction with the ground. So there might be a question. The rings might have moved in the same direction because of the friction with the ground. We can guess that there might be that reason too. Okay, let's put both the rings in the some type of cart with pivoted wheel and do the same experiment. The rings will be avoided with the friction. The rings will be avoided with the friction on the ground. Okay, let's put these two rings, stretched rubber band with the stretched rubber band and balancing with this thread, and this is the cart. The cart is floating on a pivoted wheel with very less friction. There is no friction, almost, it's not zero friction, but almost 90% friction is reduced with the pivoted wheel, and the pivoted wheel can move in any direction. It can go in any direction. But let's see the result. Let's cut the thread and see the result. Okay, did you see that? Okay, let's see this one again. When the thread is caught, both the rings move forward, and you can, if you slow down the video and see, the even the cart has moved forward. The friction between the cart and the rotors have moved the cart forward, not backward. Okay, let's analyze this one. Let's see the result. Let's analyze the result. The rings took away forward even the cart because of the friction with the cart. If the forward movement of the rings was due to the friction with the ground, the cart here could have moved backward, but that cart itself has moved forward. So the movement of two rings doesn't depend upon the friction with the ground. It has moved forward by interacting with each other. This can be proved, but we might have still a lot of questions. Okay, this should not simply happen. It's against the law of physics. Yes, it simply happen and it's against the law of physics. But I want to check this in another way. Okay, let's check this theory again by firing rings vertically against the gravity. If we fire these rings vertically against the gravity, then there will be no chance of any friction with the ground. There won't be no friction because the movement of rings is offside and the friction is on the another plane, but still there is contact between the rings and the ground. But if we join up, if we analyze the result of the first one and the result of the one that we are going to do the test, if we analyze both in taking in one eye, then you will realize that. Okay, let's go to the video first. Okay, here there are two rings and it there is two equal and opposite forces applied with the rubber band, and when two equal and opposite forces applied with the help of rubber band, and it's balanced by the thread over here. Okay, let's cut the thread, and the rings are placed to go vertically upward, not vertically like before. Okay, let's cut the thread and see what the ring does, what both of the ring does. Okay, here's thread cutter. Let's move it. Okay, did you see that it moved forward, it moves upward. Okay, let's see in the slow motion too. When the thread is cut, oh, did you see that both the rings has moved upward? So there is no chance of saying that this the moment of the unidirectional moment of both the rings in one direction is achieved through the friction with the ground. It's all because of the interaction with each other. Okay, let's move to the next slide. The rings move up against the gravity vertically up, and the result is shown in slow motion too. Yes, you can see it in slow motion too, and it's clear that both the rings has moved forward, I mean upward, against the gravity, and there is no chance of any friction. But can these rings excuse me, can these rings propel a vehicle too, or they just move themselves reacting with each other? And can we use these two rings interaction, the result of interaction between these two rings, to propel a vehicle, or they just simply interact and move each other by themselves only? And my answer is, let's put the ring in the cart and fixed it with the cart, allowing the rings to do the required work according to the theory, and see if it can propel a vehicle. Okay, let's see the video, and video will tell you the answer. Here, this is a cart, and two rings are placed in the cart, above the cart, and the thread is tied here to balance the force of the rubber band. And let's see what happens. Okay, let's cut the thread. Here the rings is placed in the cart, and it's attached with the cart with this shaft. If you want to know the construction of this cart, I have already done in the previous presentation. You can go there and you can see the detailed answer with repeated tests. But right now let's see this one. Okay, did you see that? Yes, the rings even propel a cart. Means this is rings even propel a vehicle. Okay, let's see it again and again in one stroke. Result: the rings propel the cart for 30 cms in a single stroke. But I don't still believe this. Someone can say, I don't still believe this. Can these rings move without involvement of your hand? Your hands might be interacting with the rings and pushing these things forward. I think there's no chance of hand pushing the rings forward, because as you can clearly see in multiple of videos, the hand is just involved in cutting the thread. Still, I will try to prove that without involvement of hand too, the rings can move forward. Here I have used small solenoids attached with the rings, generating the required force, very similar force. Here two solenoids are placed in the middle, and instead of rings, previously I have taken here two wheels, and thread is connected between two point of solenoids. I have done this experiment with many ways, dozens of ways, and result is achieved as expected, but I have used slightly differently than previously. Okay, let's play this. Okay, did you see the movement? It's forward, but let's see. Okay, I want to pause this and see. Few I think around 2 cm of distance is covered. Okay, let's pause it and explain it. Here two force. Here is the contact point of wheels. The two force are applied from slightly different position from the test we have done before, but this is important to show that this can happen from this way too, and two force with the same spirit of this invention are generated due to movement of the solenoids. And if you have any confusion, it will be cleared by the end of this video, because I have done a lot of tests along with this one, and if you are still want to know more, you can see other videos. Okay, let's play this video. As soon as the solenoid is switched on, the required force is applied and the wheels move few centimeters. And I have tested it multiple times. You can see 3-4 times over here too. Okay, let's see it. Okay, the movement is forward and my hand is not involved in this test. Okay, let's see the result. Here the wheel is used instead of the rings, and solenoids have generated the equal and opposite required force according to the theory. And forward movement of the wheels are clearly observed in all three tests done on this video. And I need some more proof. Can you show me some reverse tests, some reverse way where the output achieved now is given as input and input is expected as output? Like it's something like you have the answer. What might be the question of this answer? Deriving the question, watching the answer. It's something like giving output as input and expecting input as the output. It's a reverse test. Actually, reactionless mechanism is irreversible, and I have made another video using this for this doing this reverse test. I have done 2 reverse tests over there. You can go and see that, and in slow motion you can analyze it. If you are interested in physics and reactionless propulsion, you will love that video. And this test is the one that proves that this theory works, and no more test is required after this. Because testing in the reverse way is the optimum test. and you don't need tests like pendulum test, the third test after this test, because um, if you really know the physics and you analyze the uh, action over there, you will realize that this theory works. But okay, let's see the video. But still, let's see the video of two rotors reaction when rotatory motion is applied as input. For reverse test, this mechanism can be reversed, so I have done another way to prove it. Just initially we use linear force as input. The linear force is derived from rubber band and solenoids. We use reverse linear force as input, but this time we have used rotational motion as input. Like the inner ring is attached with the cart over here. You can see in the picture the inner ring is attached with this, both inner ring is attached with the cart, and the external rings it's free to move, but they are tied with the rubber band. When there is one thread over here, and this is still movie about still photo of the video, so it's not shown, but you will later on you will realize it. There is one thread tied over here, storing the potential energy in the rubber bands, which when released it will rotate the external rings. And there is one thread which will there is one rubber band which will stop the rotating rings. And let's see what happens here. The input is rotational motion, and we are reacting with the linear motion, and we are reacting the rotating rings with the linear motion. And let's see what happens. Okay, when the thread is caught, the rotating rings are stopped due to this rubber band, and forward motion is achieved. Here nothing else, the thread cutter just cuts the thread cutter just cuts the thread, and no, the thread cutter has no role in pushing the cart, but the cart has moved some distance. It's all because of the force generated by reacting these two bodies. So reverse test also, this theory has passed the a kind of reverse test also. The move of both the rings has propelled a cart by reverse process, not by interacting, not powered by linear force, but rotatory motion too. Here we rotate the two circular bodies first with help of rubber bands and stop it with pair of equal and opposite force with help of thread applied in the ring with the same concept. Now also forward movement of rings is achieved. You can play this video slowly. You will notice the forward movement of rings along with the cart happens right after the ring stops rotating. And it will be too long to explain me about this mechanism. But if you are interested, you can do some research. Just play the video slowly and you will realize that the movement, the linear movement of both the rotors along with the cart is achieved after the thread has stopped the rotation of the rings. You can go through it, but I don't want to make this one more longer one. Okay, let's move to the another slide. Can we do the reverse test without use of your hand? Answer: of course we can. Let's see next slide. I think okay, let's see the next slide. And without hand we are going to reverse test. Okay, let's go to the point. Mm. When the threads stop the rotation of the rings, you can see a forward moment. Yes, and these two rings are rotated using the motors over here, and this has a special mechanism. I will explain it later, but I just want to show that if when two rings are stopped with thread attached over here, uh, a reactionless momentum is achieved in one direction. Mm, actually I don't want to make this presentation very long because it's already been half an hour. uh, Result, you can see the rotors previously rings moving in one direction along with the cart attached. When the rotors rotated by electric motors and stopped by the threads attached in the rotors, as I have already explained before. Now another question, can you move or propel forward some distance using these rings powered by electricity? Of course, yes. Let's see the video. Here there are two rings and two solenoids are placed attaching with each other with help of strings, and the rings are placed attached with pivoted wheels. See, both the rings are attached with pivoted wheels on the downside touching with, so there is no friction, with very less friction with the ground. And to move this thing forward, we have attached with one scale using solenoid. After one cycle is finished, you need to get ready for the another cycle to move forward. So we have attached with rubber bands, so that these rubber bands will bring back the position of the rotors to the original position for the next cycle to happen. So let's play this video. Okay, for every stroke, for every time the solenoid is switched on, a slight forward movement is achieved, and in a time remarkable forward momentum is achieved. You can slow in every stroke. Forward momentum is achieved in every stroke. Yes, it's almost around 6-7 centimeter, powered by a very small solenoid. Result, no word is needed. You can clearly see two rings moving in same direction powered by solenoids. Another solenoid is placed which is not used to power but only to balance the ring and maintain the center of mass to be its geometrical center. Yes, the result is as expected according to the theory. Can you move or propel a solid cart powered by electricity working on the same concept? Yes, the answer is yes. Now, to manage the force, to manage the momentum, I have cut down the circle and used only the part of the circle and arc which is used, really required in this mechanism. Oh, and the rings become like this. It becomes rotor. After starting rotor in this center, it becomes like this. As you have already I have used rubber band to tight these two rings with the thread with the cart, and these two solenoids will be useful here, and these are just to balance its center of gravity. Okay, let's play this video. And every stroke there is some remarkable forward movement in every stroke. I'm manually controlling the solenoid, switching on and off the power, so it's not as regular as expected, but this is enough to show that my theory works in this way too, and this is reactionless motion. And now the movement is quite less because the force by the wire is opposing it. Still forward momentum is forward momentum of the vehicle is of the cart is noticed here. Okay, it's around 5 6 7 centimeter, 7 around. The movement is around 8 centimeter in 80 seconds, I think. And I have break even this video in my another presentation, and try to explain one break even view of every cycle in my previous videos. You can go and watch it. Okay, yes, small DC solenoid working on few amperes and volts drive the cart to a distance of around 8 cm in around 80 seconds, I think. Can you still we have a lot of questions. Can you move or propel a solid cart powered by electricity working on the same concept on any other surface slightly faster? Answer, of course, yes, but can't go very fast because the solenoid have limitations and solenoids are switched off and on manually. But let's see. Okay, let's play this video. The surface is different than previous. In every stroke there is a movement is achieved. And another beautiful thing is when the rotors try to regain its original position with help of rubber band, also the movement is achieved. So there is no backward momentum in the end of cycle that other reactionless drive claimed previously have. You can see as the strokes are made faster, the time duration is lower between the two strokes. The movement is much more higher. Okay, here around 10 centimeter has been around 10 centimeter, I think, has been covered in around short span of time. It's slightly powerful than before. Okay, this far I have made, and this thing is under development, and next video, most probably next video, I will be using this DUI drive to propel a vehicle on something on water, and it's on progress and the results are going to be positive. Conclusion: yes, the internal interaction between these two rings generates some thrust and propels something backward without any reaction. How can you explain this with current understanding of physics? As this presentation has already gone long, I will explain in the next presentation in details. It's already 40 minutes gone and I don't want to make that long, but this will take hours and hours to make. I have content for several hours, but I don't want to do it at a time. I will go for the next presentation. Still, DUI drive is just a lever with a moving fulcrum. In next my coming up video, I would like to explain the this DUI drive with much more basic things, much more basic actions in our daily life, much more basic physics, so that it will be very easy to understand for the others. And I will do this in next presentation. And for now, I want to show this slide here. There are two rings, this ring 1 and these two rings, and let us take point A and point B where F1 and F2 is applied, symmetrical with this line. This is line of symmetry of two rings. It just crosses between the two rings, making both the rings symmetrical and passing through the contact point of two rings. And when two forces are applied over here, and this is the center line, this center line passes through the contact point between two rings and through the center and touching both center of both the rings. When two forces are applied in these 2 points, a linear movement is achieved in this direction, d1 and d2. the rings move in this direction, and as a byproduct these two rotors rotate in D3 and D4 direction. Byproduct is also generated over here. uh, and the yes and the results achieved in D1 and D2, and these two byproducts rotation, which is rotational moment of both the rotors, will be absorbed with simple mechanisms. Mm. And they cancel with each other, and the reaction is cancelled with each other, so it doesn't produce any reaction. This is the basics of DUI drive. Right now I can't only explain you till here because I don't want to make much more longer than this presentation. If you like to reach me and if you want to work with me, my email is duidrive24@gmail.com, and you can comment. I will try to reply you as long as I know, as much as I know. Okay, thanks for your patience. Almost 41 minutes of patience. Thank you very much.